is Sunday, August 4th, 2024. We're going to address some of the issues of Project 25 and also talk about the candidacy of Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump as well. But first, we'll go to our host, Mr. Bill Snow, who is the author of the great book, From the Project to the Boardroom. We have Jill Daggs, from Okaloosa County, who is a state committee woman over there. We have Mr. Derek Scott, who is the chair of the Escambia County Democrat Party here. And we have Mr. Bernie Watson, where you'll be watching this program tonight on WBQP TV, Roku, Fire Stick, YouTube, and all of our Facebook pages and all of the other platforms out there. We want to welcome everyone to the show and those who are watching near and far. So, Derek, I think he might be getting some stuff together. But first, I want to read. I know it's a storm out there, and so we've talked about the storm before. But it says this year's report from the NAACP that Blacks are disproportionately affected by national disasters. It says we are far less prepared for disasters and more inclined to be displaced and criminalized as a result of these events. Underline that, criminalized as a result of these events. Our social and economic vulnerability is based on multiple factors, including pervasive lack of wealth to cushion us, often compromised quality of housing stock in many of our communities, our relative lack of mobility. We also disproportionately live in coastal communities in the Southeast, which are areas of considerable risk for hurricanes. With climate change resulting in increasingly in the severity and frequency of extreme weather events, African American communities are disproportionately increasing a significant risk as experience has shown that African Americans are disproportionately injured, displaced, and criminalized in disaster situations. Now, according to a number of studies, African Americans are also underrepresented in the design and implementation of disaster response. With our differential risk for civil and human rights violation in time of disasters and afterward, we have a crucial role in understanding emergency management and being engaged in its implementation. First published this March 2007, so it lets you know how far back the research has been done on these disasters and how we are disproportionately affected by or displaced by. So, where there is a hurricane out there, have gained hurricane strength already. Is that right, Jill?
It says it should tonight. So it says that they are looking, it's supposed to hit sometime tomorrow, but that it looks like sometime tonight it will get hurricane strength. They do expect it to hit as a Cat 1. And it said specifically the following counties: Taylor, Jefferson, Wakulla, and Franklin counties are going to get the brunt of it, the very heavy rain, but it is widespread. So a lot of the Florida peninsula is going to see rain. I'm not sure if we'll get probably outer bands, but Tallahassee all the way down past Tampa and over to Jacksonville should be prepared and ready. And if they said evacuate. I know often we think, oh, it's just a Cat 1, but flooding can happen. Trees down, lines down, just be safe.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a lot of flooding take place during these hurricanes, and people still, you might not lose your whole house, but the flood and the algae and all of that that builds up in your house, mold from it, can still cause you a lot of suffering, a lot of money that's paid out. And what insurance now don't want to pay for your house and to rebuild what you have put into it, or the cost. I don't know if they even paying for the cost, what it would cost to build a house now. They might do it at the attending cost. But if your house then accumulated, you built your house for $100,000, it's worth $300,000 or $400,000. I don't know if they'll build it for that anymore, because they don't really have to, because of the way the legislators and all of that has messed up everything as far as insurance, along with this governor here in the state of Florida. So, what's your thoughts on it, Bill?
I agree wholeheartedly with you, brother Jerry. It's amazing. It seems like insurance, insurance is most definitely one of the biggest scams in our country. I mean, we pay all of this money annually for insurance. It's not only double, in some instances it has tripled and quadrupled. And then when disaster does hit, that 1 or 2% deductible that we have to pay up front sometimes end up being anywhere from $5 to $10,000. So it's all a farce. And the right insist on taking care of big business and pharmaceuticals and all of the folk that are already deep pocketed, and the little man doesn't stand a chance. And I think it's all by grand design. I think that insurance scam is designed to make people sell so they can rent back to those very people that they forced out. So I tell anybody that'll listen, do not sell. That's the intent. I said it about a year ago that there are a couple of groups throughout our country that are intending to buy up at least, I want to say it's 100 properties a month, man. They are on this thing strongly to actually corner the market. So with interest rates finally falling, and when they talk about 6.7% is down, man, it's time to take a serious look at this situation. But yeah, insurance, man, I don't. They shouldn't force us to have it because when disaster strikes, we're on our own anyway, it appears.
Well, the mortgage companies demand that, if you got a mortgage on your house, now if you don't have a mortgage on your house, then that's
absolutely. Well, right, absolutely.
You can have it or you not. You don't have to. But if you got a mortgage company gonna demand that you have some kind of insurance, so they can recoup their monies if
right
go back up.
Yeah, well, it's to cover them. Absolutely, it's to cover them. Has absolutely nothing to do with covering us.
Right.
Just like an automobile, you're toting the note. That's to cover the full coverage is to cover the insurance company. And and God forbid you don't get the gap.
We're gonna put it back in the hand of Derek. Derek.
Okay. Yep. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in with us. As Mr. McIntosh just said, please remember to stay safe. We are praying for those who are in the counties and the affected areas that Jill referenced earlier, those in the Big Bend. And hopefully everybody will come out A-okay in this, and no damage or anything like that to their families, properties, or loved ones. So as we move forward, we want to remind everybody that we are still in COVID, and there is an uptick and a new variant that is out there. So please remember to practice all hygiene and safety protocols, just as we did during the pandemic. If you can social distance, if you can wear a mask, continue to do so. Just make sure you are safe and keep those around you, because we have to be very community focused and oriented as this time progresses, and think not only of ourselves, but also of our neighbors. So please make sure we do that. At this time, yes, ma'am.
I want to ask a question. I'm not sure if you have the answer, but I'm thinking that maybe our viewing audience might want to know. Should we be getting a booster shot? And if so, when for COVID?
Yes, if you have not yet received a booster shot, please make sure you schedule one and make the first opportunity that you have to get one, do so. The boosters that are currently out cover all variants except this most recent variant. So please make sure you are scheduled to do so. You should be still practicing one every 6 months. I know myself personally, I am 2 months behind scheduled. So I need to make sure we do so. Please, if you're in the state of Florida, you will need to reach out to one of your local pharmacies because the health departments are no longer carrying them, thanks to our governor, Ron DeSantis. So please call CVS, Walgreens, Publix. I want to say Winn-Dixie, but I think they've already moved their stuff already. And whatever pharmacy you can that has the availability, just make sure you get one. And now, as we've done that, let's go to our regular roundtable. And I'm sure Christina will probably join us a little later as she is getting ready for Santa Rosa County's early voting, which starts tomorrow. So we will start with you, Mr. Bill Snow. What do you have today? You're muted.
Okay.
My pastor and brother sends well wishes to the panel of Our Voices talk show. Today I had the opportunity to talk with him, and he was tickled black. I mean, he was really touched by the situation and the information. I was telling Jerry I had a lot of parishioners today that let me know that they may not have made it in person. At the ones that were not able to get on the live, said they did view the program and that they had no idea that Project 2025 had all of that in it. And I was quick to tell them that's just the tip of the iceberg, that if they got a chance to get into that thing, to get into it, because it is deep. Anytime it takes some 900 plus pages to have a blueprint. And Jenny, hats off to Jenny from Move to Amend. She stated they've got their blueprint. We Dems need a blueprint as well. I'm quite sure it would be a night and day difference from that far right idiocracy that J.D. Vance has written a foreword on in a book that's out there. But they were enlightened. I myself got enlightened a little bit more, as well as I studied on all of what the plans of 2025 is for veterans. And then I looked at Social Security a little bit, and it is, I can understand why 45 would want to distance himself from that deal, because it is atrocious, man. That top 2-3%, man, up there at the top that's pulling the strings. Man, I tell you, you people on the bottom, seem like Republicans would join hand in hand with us if they would get into that 2025 and vote right. Because I promise you, it's not just to the detriment. It is to the detriment of people of color. But boy, I tell you, everybody's going to feel this thing if they start to pull, actually activate. And let's remember that in 2017, a lot of that stuff was tried, and the foundation has been laid. So thank y'all, panel, Jill, you guys that came from near and far. The way the program was put together, man, I tell you that Community House of Prayer is pleased at the way it went down, and we're excited about informing and transforming. Now, I did think, as I was looking at those photographs, that I said, man, it's time to take this show on the road. That was pretty doggone awesome. Being on that panel with you guys, with that banner behind us, and the way it had we're a dynamic talk show, but man, on the road, that was something special. I enjoyed being with you guys, right next to you guys, especially Jill, when she always saying, she always getting on me, but yesterday she had a chance to say it to my face.
Well, thank you for that. Jill, what do you have?
So good evening. Thank you so much. And yes, yesterday was fabulous. It was good to be with everyone in person because we do this over Zoom. So we're not often all together in a space that's not at an event where we really can't share information and do what we do every Sunday night. And Bill, it's funny that you would say that because we had also said, you know, we should probably take this to different churches all across the 3 counties. We need to start sharing information, and not just churches, any entity that is willing to listen and hear, because education is key. And I thank you and your pastor for giving us that opportunity. And Jerry for putting this all together and inviting us in. We definitely feel like family here. And so as we move forward through 2024 to protect ourselves from 2025, I look to all of you for some other wonderful opportunities that we'll have to work together. That being said, in Okaloosa County, I want to go over a couple of things. I guess I'll start with election information because Derek brought it up for Santa Rosa County. So for Okaloosa County, we have early voting the 10th of August through the 17th. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. There are the following locations: the Supervisor of Elections headquarters, the one that's in Crestview on 302 North Wilson Street. The Supervisor of Elections that's in Shalimar at 1250 Eglin Parkway. Crestview Public Library, which is out across from the high school at 1445 Commerce Drive. Destin Community Center at 101 Stallman Avenue. Niceville City Hall, 208 North Parton Drive. And again, those locations will be open until 6 o'clock on the 10th through the 17th. And then go over here because I wanted to make sure I shared this, our DEC chair. So as you know, Derek Scott is the DEC chair for Escambia County. For Santa Rosa County, it's Sandra Smith. And then for Okaloosa County, it is Davy Jones. And we have a training that they are doing on Tuesday, August 6th. To help turn Florida blue, specifically Okaloosa County. If you want to join us and do some training, takes about 30 minutes at our new office, which is located at 105 Lewis Street, Suite 103 in Fort Walton Beach. They're going to get you completely trained so that you can start phone banking. And they have the new phone bank where they do all the calls for you. It's a caller that calls for you, and you only get actual live people. So you don't have to worry about getting voicemails and all of that. You get live people. It's really easy. It's exciting. It's just one of the things you can do. Of course, you can also text. You can stuff envelopes. You can write postcards. You can just organize stuff for us. We are excited that there's so much momentum and so many volunteers coming across the 3 counties. And we look forward to anyone that would like to participate in any way. We will find a place for you, something that you enjoy doing, or we will train you so that you can learn to enjoy maybe something that you never thought you would do. So just thank you. We're looking forward to it. Your vote by mail ballots have dropped. So if you haven't received it, you need to call the Supervisor of Elections office. If you have received it, please make sure you take the time to educate yourself on everything on there and then pick and vote and put it in the mail or drop it off at your SOE office or any voting location during early voting. You can also bring it with you there. That is all I have. I'm so glad to be here, and I will turn it back over to Mr. Derek Scott.
Hey, Derek, where are we on yard signs?
Signs have not come in yet. The campaign is still pulling all that stuff together. My guess will be we won't see yard signs until certainly after the announcement of her running mate, and most likely not until after the convention, but that's just my guess.
Yeah, I
I'm
would
not
think
running on any level.
that we'll probably get them in September,
Yeah.
and then you'll have a steady flow after that.
Okay, I was just curious because I've been asked about them. So thank you.
But the counties do have handheld signs. So if anybody is interested in a handheld window sign, they're about yay wide, and not that you can have any idea what that looks like on TV, but maybe the size, you know, of a television monitor. I don't know. We do have those available in Escambia and Okaloosa counties. I don't know if they have them in Santa Rosa, but certainly we do have those available. If any of you all are interested, just give us a call. All right, hello, Mr. Carlton. How are you today, sir?
Hello, everybody. Good to see you.
Hey, Brother Carlton.
Doing well. How y'all doing?
Great.
Good, sir. Thanks.
Things are looking a little bit different than the last time I was on your show, huh?
Yeah, a whole lot different. 180.
And a lot better, right?
What?
A lot better, right? A lot better.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. That's what I thought.
Hey, one of those, I told you so.
Hey, all I know is that looks like we got a winner. So I think that's something that we all should be happy about and should be behind, because last time, in my opinion, that was not the case. And I think that the numbers and all the energy is evidence of that. So I'm just happy to see that we're back on track with something that seems to be more concrete. So I'm very happy about that.
I want to go on record to say I think we were all happy with President Joe Biden, and we thank him for his service. We would have been happy and ecstatic whether he continued the path to re-election, but certainly we are absolutely ecstatic that he has passed the torch to Vice President Kamala Harris. So, we're grateful for his service to this great nation. Mr. McIntosh, what do you have for us?
I'm going to talk a little bit about the Carol McIntosh initiative. One of the things, the greatest single factor in the success of students is the support of one's parents. Higher grades and test scores, long-term academic achievement, positive attitudes, and behavior are just some of the potential benefits associated with parents becoming partners. When parents show an interest in their child's education and have high expectations for their performance, they are promoting attitudes that are key to achieving, attitudes that can be formed, independent of society or other extreme circumstances. Many times, parents want to be involved in their child's education, but they need help from educators and others within the community to help overcome barriers. The Carol McIntosh Initiative Plan for District 3 will assist parents to become partners in their child's education. Schools and community organizations are not the only institution which influence parent involvement. The workplace sometimes has a negative impact on parents' participation in a child's education. Business and government need to examine work policy to ensure that employees who are parents are encouraged to build relationships with the schools. We need to find out just how prevalent this is with the Florida employers, starting with state government. Over the next few months, we will establish a task force to examine personal policy in state government to see if we are encouraging or discouraging employees' involvement in schools. Specifically, are employees who are parents permitted to receive telephone calls from their kids and schools? Do we allow time off for parents to meet with the teachers and administrators? And are there ways to use newsletters and others in-house communication methods to help school reach parents and encourage their involvement? These are some questions that must be asked of government and private employees. The number of women in the workplace has a dramatic impact on the level of parental involvement. However, the workplace may not have adjusted to the needs of women as parents now and in the future. So the school board, as you know, already has adopted the Carol McIntosh initiative, and we are continuing to push to make sure it's adequately implemented into the system. I want to thank the Progressive Black Women, which Carol was a co-founder of that organization, along her good friend Rose Shelby Williams. We want to definitely thank her. I want to thank Celestine Lewis, who her and her staff have put together the program, the booklet. David William, who was on the school board, who helped to push it through. The school superintendent, we want to thank him as well. But we want to thank the community for being involved and helping us to push this forward and getting it adopted by the school board. And it's going to be tested in 3 schools starting in this year. So for the 24-25 year, and then we will start on the scholarship program. So that's just some of the things that we are working on. Back to you, Derek. You're on mute, Derek.
You know what schools you'll be in?
I got to get that information next week. We should have that information next week. The 3 schools that it will be tested in.
Great. All right. Well, as we move along, what I'd like to share for us, please keep in mind, similarly to what Jill shared, Escambia counties. Well, I'll do so for Santa Rosa in Christina's absence. Their early voting starts tomorrow, which is the 5th. So please make sure that if you have the opportunity to go out and cast your ballot, please do so. And they have all the way from the 5th until the 17th for their early voting opportunities. So please make sure you do so. For Escambia County, early voting starts here on August the 10th, which is this upcoming Saturday, and it will be for 1 week long through the 17th. You have from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in order to visit any one of our 10 early voting locations. If you are unfamiliar, you can vote early at the Escambia County Supervisor of Elections office, which is located at 213 Palafox Place on the 2nd floor here in Pensacola. The downtown library at 239 Spring Street, Molino Community Center, which is located at 6450 Highway 95A in Molino, Ashbury Place at Cokesbury Church, which is a new change for those who are used to be at PJC. They've now moved it over to Cokesbury. Yeah, probably right across the street. The Southwest Library, for those of you all who are out here with me, which is at 12248 Gulf Beach Highway. Bellevue Library on 6425 Mobile Highway, the Escambia County Extension Service on Stephanie Road, or Stepani, however you say it. Brownsville Community Center, the UWS Center for Fine and Performing Arts, and the Billy G. Ward Courthouse for those of you all who live in Century or Points North. You can drop your, if you have a mail-in ballot, you can drop those off at any one of our early voting locations. But please make sure that you vote in this election. We have critical officers. If you remember from last week, Larry Williams is up for re-election. We want to make sure that we support him for those of you all who are in District 3, as well as if you are a Democrat, we have an opportunity to vote for a senatorial candidate. You've seen all of, 3 of the 4 of them here on Our Voices. So please make sure you make your choice and selection heard so that we can do what we need to do in this November. If you are interested in volunteering in this election cycle, please you can call the Escambia County Democratic Party at 850-407-7997, or visit our office at 2618 Martin Luther King Drive, which is at the intersection of Martin Luther King and Cross Street. Or you can email us at escambiadems, that's ESCAMBIADEMS @outlook.com. Once again, that's escambiadems @outlook.com. We have a lot of work to do, and we need all hands on deck, just like Santa Rosa, just like Okaloosa, in all points and all 67 counties. So if you're within the sound of our voice, reach out to one of the counties and do what you can, whether you can canvass, phone bank, make phone calls, send text messages, or just postcards. There's an opportunity for each of you to engage and get involved. Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to share Santa Rosa's early voting locations?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so this is on behalf of Christina Forrest until she gets here. For Santa Rosa County, you have in Milton, 6495 Caroline Street. In Navarre, the community gym at 8840 High School Boulevard. In Pace, the community center located at 5976 Chumuckla Highway. Santa Rosa County Auditorium, 4530 Spikes Way. South Santa Rosa Service Center, 5841 Gulf Breeze Parkway. And then Tiger Point Community Center located at 1370 Tiger Park Lane. That's for Santa Rosa County. And again, you start tomorrow all the way through the 17th.
Yep, you guys are lucky. You have 2 weeks to cast your ballot. So kudos for that. And for those of you all, let me just say, and with respect to any of our counties, if you are think that you are signed up for vote by mail and you have not yet received a ballot for the primary election, that means you have not re-enrolled in vote by mail in accordance with the new election laws. So you need to call your supervisor of elections. You have up until the 8th, so just another 4 days to call the supervisor of elections in your respective county to tell them that you would like to vote in all elections for 2024, and they will put a vote by mail ballot in the mail. Now, that is just for those counties that are in the sound of our voice that are within the state of Florida. I won't say the same for Alabama, because I don't know what their laws consist of, but certainly if you are in Florida and you would like to get a vote by mail ballot and you have not yet received one, please call your local supervisor of elections office. If you are in Escambia County, that telephone number is 850-595-3900. If you are in Santa Rosa County, that telephone number is 850-983-1900. And if you are in Okaloosa County, that is 850-689-5600. All righty. And I will turn it back over to you, Mr. McIntosh.
Well, I know y'all know what we're gonna talk about. This Project 2025. We're not gonna get off of that until election day. So we're gonna talk about all the negative impact that it would have on us in the 2025 the position paper that Trump is going to be using, that he's trying to distance himself from. But we're going to just read a little overview here. It said, what exactly is Project 2025? Simply put, Project 2025 is a massive 920-page document that outlines exactly what the next Trump presidency. This doesn't just include policy proposals like immigration action, education proposals, and economic plans, but rather a portrayal of the American, a portrait of the Americans that the conservative hope to implement in the next Republican administration. Under Republican presidential nominee Trump, the document is thoroughly a blueprint for how exactly to carry out such a vision, through recommendation for the key White House staff, cabinet position, Congress, federal agencies, commissions, and boards. The plan goes so far as to outline a vetting process for appointing and hiring the right people in every level of government to carry out this vision. So we're going to address some of the issues that we addressed yesterday, and at the church over there at Bill's church with his pastor. We want to thank him for inviting us over, all of us, to address Project 2025 because of what's in it and how dangerous and how it will negatively affect us and everybody in this country and turn this country into a dictatorship. And this is the plan, and this is what we want to discuss with you. We talked about education, veterans problem, fair, talked about voting, talked about healthcare, and we're going to talk about some of the other things that's going to be negatively affected by this Project 2025. So, Bill, you talked, you give us an overview of what you talked about yesterday with the veterans and how it's going to affect them negatively.
Yeah, absolutely. We got $37 million that has been proposed to be cut from veterans benefits in the name of helping to restore the national debt. 37 million. And I was pointing out the fact that just North Carolina alone has over 800,000, almost 1 million disabled veterans receiving benefits. So it should be a no-brainer that North Carolina should turn blue. But when it comes to veterans, they're talking about the project is speaking of closing down a lot of the VA clinics. They're talking about rushing up the process to deny benefits, trying to make it where if you apply for a benefit that you'll have an answer inside of 30 days. Now, it sounds like a great thing, but we know that that's just a quick denial process that they're trying to enact. They feel like veterans right now have a lot of disabilities that are not service related. Now, anybody that knows anything about the VA and the process of getting approved, Jill especially, knows that it's not an easy process and you have to go to doctor after doctor after doctor to get approved. So for them to say that veterans are currently receiving benefits that they probably don't deserve is plumb asinine. Now, the VA and veterans benefits was enacted right after World War I. And a lot of people that have been suffering from Agent Orange, and most recently the burn pits from over there in the Iraqi war, and to think that the government is saying and has passed legislation that you are automatically signed up for military services if you are a young person from the ages of 18 to 26. So we're thinking, or they're thinking, that they have the right to say that you are automatically signed up and could be end up in a wartime situation. And that if you are fortunate enough to survive, that when you get back, be it limbless or what have you, paralysis, whatever, that they would be doing you a favor by helping to take care of you. 2025 is, when it comes to veteran benefits, a lot of veterans that I have just been questioning to see where they stood on Project 2025 are adamant that what they're getting is what they will get, and there's no way it's going to be cut. But I stopped by here today to tell them that it's on the table, man. It is on the table. They are talking about slashing current benefitees. They're talking about cutting families completely out and off, saying that those monies could better help as far as the national debt is concerned. The nerve of those folks. But it's a blueprint, like you said, by the Heritage Foundation, a bunch of right-wingers, very conservative. It's one thing to be conservative to us to an extent. I am conservative, but to the extent that these people are, it's amazing. But it's a bunch of people that has gotten together and written this thing, a bunch of former Trump staffers. We've got your boy J.D. Vance that wrote the foreword for a book that's out there on Project 2025. But it's a political playbook for what the next Republican administration would like to implement. It would like to sizable changes to the lives of service members and veterans. Certain things right now that veterans receive as far as benefits, they are trying to take off of the table as far as future claims. Even though that they are government, those are issues that people came under, disabilities that incurred while they were serving. Some of the things that are on that list, they're saying for future people that file those claims, most definitely would be denied. But it's something that they want to enact inside of the first 180 days of being in office. Y'all, this ain't something that they're playing around with. They've got the blueprint. People that are being assigned or hired, should I say, in this next cabinet and administration are people that are co-authors of this thing. When you spoke earlier of them vetting, they are vetting folks that aren't, if they aren't lockstep in line with Project 2025, they will not be being hired. It wants to limit which disabilities, like I was saying, qualifies. The authors believe that too many veterans qualify for disability benefits, such as so as a thank you for your services. Project 2025 would restrict disabled veterans access for life-sustaining benefits. It would like to help. Let's see here, because it would help the Department of Veterans Affairs cut costs. That life-sustaining injuries or benefits. Some of these folks it's their livelihood. It's how they eat, it's how they pay their bills. But they're thinking in this Project 2025 that they probably don't deserve it and is looking at those significant cuts. It proposes reducing retirees' compensation. Retirees. Now, I ain't talking about just because you're disabled, but I'm talking about you've done 20, 25 plus, and now whatever that pension is, it's looking at cutting that. The 2020-25 mandate for leadership, it starts on page 641. If you get a chance, it's online. Just Google Project 2025, and it'll give you all 920 pages. But when it speaks of veterans and the benefits of disabilities, that starts right around page 641. It's a whole lot in there. It's a lot to read, a lot to consume, but I promise you need to be studying up on it, because if you don't think they will, it's already written. They're already hiring people, putting them in place to enact this. So, man, it's a whole bunch. It's a whole bunch to it.
Yeah, Bill, I think they instead of 37 million, I think it's 37 billion that they want to cut out of the veterans program for disabled veterans.
It's a misprint in what I looked up then, because it was I think the 37 million. You're right, Jerry. I think the 37 million was out of North Carolina. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's just out of one place. It's going to be billions they're talking about cutting from the veterans and their and all the benefits that
I guess after a while they won't even have in that project, you won't even have health care from the military. And with the military being over $800 billion, or maybe close to $1 trillion now, because a few years back it was 800 billion. So right. I'm sure it's
$1 trillion. You can't find other places you can cut money except for the people that went and fought
for this country. And some of them got PTSD. Some, like you said, got limbs are gone. Some of them are, blind and burnt and
suffering. Absolutely.
From cancer and these burn pits and
their benefit, but you don't want to cut, maybe one ship,
Right.
because we got enough ships to sail every sea in the country. I mean, in the world, but you still building war machine. But
Right.
Chris, Derek, want to talk about what you talked about yesterday as far as getting out to vote?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know that with all things that how important and we have to focus on making sure we get out the vote. And specifically with respect to Project 2025, they have several key points that will affect voters, and particularly us in Black and Brown communities. Number one, as we look at it, they will start by restricting access to the ballots and the way they're doing access to polling locations. So they'll do that by restricting mail-in ballots. And we see that by living here in the state of Florida, what that does. If you are focused or paying attention into the legislation or bills that were up in the Florida legislature this year, they tried to introduce a bill specifically for vote by mail that allowed or restricted it only to those who are in nursing home or assisted living facilities or physically have a disability that will impede them from actually going to cast their ballot. So they do so because we know that vote by mail and early voting are on the rise. We're running, when we look at the split at every election cycle, where early voting had just a small lead in terms of the percentage breakout of people who voted early versus people who voted by mail. And historically, we see a lot of communities of color that focus specifically on those two options. So if you restrict that ability to vote by mail, that restricts voter turnout, particularly in Black and Brown communities. We also see their ability to restrict early voting and remove and restrict accessible boxes. Jill gave an example. Maybe you can share it, Jill, because I don't remember specifically how you phrased it, but in certain areas in South Florida, they did something. You shared it because I forgot.
No, well, they did it in Hurricane Michael. They did it. Well, I don't remember what hurricane hit last time we did voting. And think about it, we have a hurricane that's hitting now. Again during early voting. But what they did specifically for Hurricane Michael in Panama City, because it was so catastrophically damaged, that they only put those ballot boxes in areas that were very far away from the Black and Brown communities. So they would have to drive, if they even had a car, could get through the debris, 50 miles plus to just vote. They couldn't get a vote by mail ballot, or I shouldn't say they couldn't, but the mail system wasn't working. So you still had to go pick it up, and the SOE's office was damaged. So they had those, of course, 50 miles away. And again, it's just a way to restrict those in Black and Brown communities. And so we've experienced it, I believe is what Derek is saying. We already see it. Imagine that across the whole United States, and being not as trickery as we see it with our own governor, but as the law rule.
Yep. And so we talk about that. We also talk about, as I mentioned, reducing the amount of polling locations that are specifically in Black and Brown communities. We have already seen some changes in polling locations. The reduction in the abilities to cast your ballot. Like we look at early voting, a great example. And I'm not suggesting this to be the case, but I'm just saying that typically for early voting, you have 2 weeks. You see Santa Rosa County has a full 2 weeks. Theirs starts tomorrow. Counties like Okaloosa and Escambia only have 1 week. Now, I'm not suggesting why that is. I'm just simply pointing out that there's a 2 week versus 1 week difference in counting. So, when we talk about restricting the vote access to the ballot, that is detrimental and certainly will impact all people, but absolutely communities of color. when we look at their ability for Project 2025 to implement policies that will allow states to overturn and override federal election results. So what that means for you all, in layman's terms, is that any presidential election, any congressional election, any election for United States Senate, that those in power don't agree with the outcome, they will not certify. And if you don't believe that, pay attention to what's happening now. This is not, as Bill said, this is not something that is coming up. And as soon as 2025 hits, if Donald Trump were to win, they're going to put this into play. I mean, that's the theory, but they're already starting to lay the groundwork and the foundation right now in preparation for this election cycle here, for the November election cycle. They have already started placing people in battleground swing states on elections commissions that already have agreed and promote the lie that the 2020 election was stolen. And they are prepared to not certify the election in those swing states should they not go for Donald Trump. There are 70 right now in key states, in election commissions in key counties that that are placed in Zoom for, have a good night, Carlton. Thank you for joining us. That will, in this case, if they are not Trump, if they don't say Trump, they're not certifying. So we have to be prepared to say now, I see you, I know what you're doing, and we won't let it happen. And the best way to do so is to overwhelmingly get out and vote. So there's no question, there's no issue around voter, so they won't be able to say such voted twice, or there was wide and rampant mass voter fraud. If everybody turns out, we are good to go. That is the best way to cure that. So again, we're going to make sure and do what we can to promote what's happening, pay attention so that we don't fall victim to it after November 5th.
Jill, you talked about health yesterday.
I did. So the impact of Project 2025 on healthcare is catastrophic, to be honest. What the plans and the process that they have will impact many millions of Americans. So we'll start with Medicaid. They are trying to put lifetime caps on your benefits. And so think about those people that are on Medicaid and their children have cystic fibrosis or have cancer or literally just need care, just everyday care. You might have asthma. We don't have to go so catastrophic. It could just be that they have asthma treatments with all of the shots they have to get, with the testing that they have to do, with the special equipment that you need, cost thousands, sometimes millions of dollars. And what they want to do is put a cap on it, a lifetime cap. So we're not talking about year to year, but just a lifetime. So if they say all you can spend is $500,000, once you spend that, you're then kicked off. It's not like you can wait till the next year and say, oh, okay, now I have more benefits. The other thing that they're trying to do is they want to take, right now, Medicare regulates our prescriptions. Biden did a phenomenal job with getting our insulin to $35. I think Derek said it best yesterday that diabetes traditionally impacts Black and Brown communities much more. And therefore, that is a positive. And they want to take that and give it to the government, which means your insulin will not be $35. It will go back up, if not even higher. And not just insulin, other medications that people need that are now affordable, thanks to Biden and to his administration. And if Project 2025 gets put in place, which it will if we have a Republican president win, hint to why you need to go vote, then you could lose everything. let's go a little bit deeper into women's reproductive rights. I kind of wanted to be mindful that we were in a church and I didn't want to say too much, but we need to understand that they absolutely are going to enforce the no abortion bans on abortions. And I didn't want to say it like that last time, but they're going to strip women from their reproductive freedom for your ability to choose. We're not telling you to say yes or no, but we are asking that every individual that is in that circumstance would have the opportunity to talk with their partner, their pastor or religious belief, and their family and make the decision that's best for them. I also think that you have to look at all of this and say, why is it that they want to make sure, just look at Project 2025. Why is it they want to make sure that you have to have a child, no matter what, incest, rape, they don't care. You have to have the child, but they're not willing, because you've now got limits on medical care. They're not willing to help you get that child from the age of 0 to at least 18. And at 18, who knows, the way this is written, they might, because sometimes your insurance, it can be under your name. And if it's under your name and your social, they might be lifetime benefit gone by 18. What are they supposed to do for the rest of their life? There's just so many ways. I'm not telling you that that's what they will do. I can tell you that they are looking at putting a cap on it. They also are going after LGBTQ. I'm going to read this one. The department should be reformed. That for the HHS reform, this is what they want. They want traditional marriages and nuclear families, not abortion, LGBT equity efforts, all gone. Sexual orientation can never be used. Gender identity can never be used. Reproductive health can never be used. States would be the ultimate regulators of medical profession. So what does this mean? So if you are someone that's trans or going through the process, if we have a Republican president, they could stop the process, rip your benefits away, and you would not have the care that you need. Those that are LGBTQ plus, that are married, they would take those, that they would strip you. You're no longer married. Same thing if you're in the military. It's just so catastrophic to just the everyday human being. To try to control our life so much and take away, literally strip everything that you need to survive. The other thing is the Affordable Care Act. So this year alone, we had 21.3 million people sign up for the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, and they want to cancel it. They want to take it away from you. There will be no marketplace. You will not have insurance. You might, after they go through they have a special way that they're going to decide who can and cannot get Medicare and Medicaid. And if you should be able to get it, remember, you have a lifetime cap. So it's just, I think about all the people in the United States that need insurance. I don't know anybody that can say, oh, I don't need insurance. I remember I'm an HR professional, so I can remember the young guys coming in saying, oh, I don't need insurance, I'm going to be healthy. And that's one thing, but everybody needs it. So you might not use it, but they do. Young guys think like, oh, they don't go to the doctor as often. That's a whole nother show. But everybody needs and deserves to have health care. And if you don't have health care, then you can't go to work. And wait, they're going to tie that to getting Medicaid. You can't get Medicaid unless you go to work. But if you get a cold, you get sick and you don't have health care, then you obviously can't go to work. It's just crazy, the things that they're doing. The other thing is they want to split the CDC. So one part of the CDC publishes data and the other part goes over public health. So let's go back to when COVID first got here. That's who regulated. That's who, I'm gonna let Derek jump in a minute because he was on the task force, but they're the ones that told us, hey, you got to wear a mask. Hey, you got to stay inside for 10, 14, 20 days. They went through how to separate in your household to make sure that you segregated yourself away from the person who was sick, yet still took care of them. Could you imagine if we didn't have that information? Millions of people died with the information. Can you imagine what would happen if that information was not allowed to be shared? And they would rather that the public health safety that they go over all stem around abortion and why it's wrong and the statistics, completely taking away from the things that we need to know and giving us, I think I said yesterday, remember what Trump did. Trump said to you that COVID wasn't real and that you should drink bleach. So if that's the information that we're going to get, can you just imagine? COVID wasn't real. Millions of people died. Millions. COVID wasn't real. So what I would say is, from eliminating the Affordable Care Act to cutting Medicaid benefits, increasing Medicare Part D prescription drug prices, and eliminating reproductive freedom nationwide, Project 2025 would be disastrous and have deadly consequences. And we can't sit back. We absolutely cannot sit back and do nothing. So that's why we're sharing this information. Again, we thank the pastor for giving us that opportunity. I know Mr. McIntosh has been saying, hey, we need to go over Project 2025. We need to go over Project 2025. And I don't think sitting in that room, the reality was like, boom, 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 boom. Like, you just can't. If you hear it, then you understand why it's so critical. And I watched on my way driving Pensacola, I was watching some news stuff on 2025, and I listened to some on the other side and the things that they were saying. And they were saying, oh, but if Donald Trump becomes president, he couldn't do all that because he needs both, the houses of Congress to say yes. And then even if that passed, then he would have to go to the Supreme Court, and there lies everything, because he has set that Supreme Court up to make sure that they say yes to whatever he wants. It is catastrophic if we don't get out and vote and make the change that's needed, because this is real and it impacts everybody. We're going over a lot of impacts to Black and Brown communities, but if you are not of Black and Brown orientation, do not sit back and think that this will not. I didn't have another word, Derek. Derek's like, why? What do you mean orientation?
You're right, though. You're right. You're right.
Orientation is the wrong word. If you are not Black and Brown, and I don't want to say not of color because white is a color, but so everybody, no matter what you look like, who you love, where you live, your income, all of that, you will be impacted by this no matter what. Thanks, Bill.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are so correct.
We have to remember that the Rapid Response Task Force was dismantled because President Obama financed it along with George Bush. George Bush put the Rapid Task Force in place for things like this. And if people remember Ebola, during that period, they sent people where the Ebola was being found to stop it there, so it didn't come across the seas into other countries. And the World Health Organizations and doctors got together, and they went and they, where it was being metastasized in Africa and different places, they went and made sure that people had the vaccines that they needed. The doctors had the equipment that they need. They had Doctors Without Borders. They had hospital ships out there, making sure that that people could come on they were bringing them on the ship to test them and all of that. So they had all of the things that was needed to make sure that people were safe. But Trump dismantled all that because it had President Obama's name attached to it. And look at the results. They said it might have been 25,000 people had died or less if we had acted in a timely manner. But over 1 million and some people died from here in America from COVID because we didn't get the vaccine. We went the vaccine one put into the pipeline, or neither was the information that people needed, and then the distortion and misinformation that was put out there, so that people was confused and believing, even people who died said they weren't going to take the vaccine and was on and dying on their deathbed. So because they believe so much in a dictatorial, authoritarian, yeah,
A drinking of the Kool-Aid in a sense.
a fraudulent guy who paraded himself as the president of the United States. Anyway, I talked about education and how it would impact us. They want to get rid of the Department of Education. And if you get rid of the Department of Education, that means under the Department of Education, you got Title IX, which has helped women and everybody else as well. But Title IX gave women a chance to be in sports and many other things that they wanted to be in, the arts and all of that. And then you think about what they are trying to do. They want to get rid of the Department of Education so they can privatize education, because big business see how much money is involved in education. Education is huge, got a huge amount of money involved in it. So they want to privatize it to get it out the hands of the ordinary people. And when you think about privatization, that means they're going to cut salaries of teachers. They're going to cut salaries of administrators. Teachers already don't make enough money as it is. And that means that many teachers will be leaving the field, going where they can make a decent living. And so it's going to hurt, the impact of that is going to hurt our community even more. And then you're talking about with the privatizing of education, you're talking about giving most of the money that will be coming to public school now will go into private institutions, meaning that people who was not only teachers but custodians, cooks, and other people that do the wraparound service that schools need will be cut, in the public education. You're talking about cutting, killing the tax base in certain communities. And we've seen that already been put in effect. And in Chicago, over 50 schools that were closed there some years back. Schools in the community here in Pensacola, many schools, I know it was up, the last count was up to about 8 of them that had closed, and over the years, those was tax bases in our community. Those was community schools within that community where children and young people and teachers could walk to school because it was a community-based schools. And we've lost the significance of that because now, our children are being bused out of our communities into other communities, but those individuals live next door to the school. They don't have to get up as early as our children to go to school. They get home early to eat or be with their parents and all of that. But our children it's a longer time getting there. They got to get up early. It's a long time getting home. Many parents in our community is working late. They got to work sometimes 2 jobs to make ends meet. So you think about that. And then, there's health issues within our community with our children, as Jill talked about. So our children might have some mental issues that need to be addressed, but that the funds won't be there for them to access so that they can be good, healthy students. Then, many of them need social counseling outside of the school system but that Title IX could help make sure that they have it. And then free lunch could be cut because already many children are already suffering during the summer months because of the free lunch program. Sometimes that's the only meal they get during the day, at morning breakfast and at lunch. So we have, all of these things are part of this Project 2025. This is what we are trying to get over to you, because this is a policy that they are putting in. It's a position paper that is going to be handed to Trump. And this is what he's going to do everything in his power to implement that, because this is from big business, big agribusiness, big pharmaceuticals. Go ahead, Jill.
I don't want our viewers to be confused. Mr. McIntosh said it's going to be handed to Trump. Know that Trump already knows it, because all the people that wrote it are his people. But it will be handed to him, I guess, for him to say, yeah, you don't have to tell me. And I thought it was interesting when I was watching their talk thing, and the one lady justified that they were going to, just like you said, give it to Trump. And because he always goes off script, she was sure he wasn't going to use any of this. Mm-hmm. And then the other person came on and said, no, it's more like he'll take it and take it even further, as opposed to saying, oh, no, I'm not going to do this. So go ahead, Jared. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just didn't want them to think that, well, Trump doesn't know about this, because they tried to twist it that way. Like somebody wrote it, they're just going to give it to him. He's never going to utilize it. And that's not truth, because the people that wrote it are his people. And he even wrote into it to make sure that he could hire those people.
On our church feed from the live, somebody wrote a book defending that. So you're right, Jill. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're totally right.
That's their narrative. They really believe that, oh no, he has nothing to do with this. This was written, like we said, started with Reagan, and they're just going to hand it to him, but his people wrote it.
Yeah, people.
They put in there to make sure he could hire those people.
And some of those people have jobs promised, thinking that he'll win, but they won't get those jobs.
Right, and you have to pledge yourself loyal to him, not to the country, but to him. And that's in itself is some dangerous stuff. And then they are, as we go forward, we'll go into some of the other things that are in this policy bill, this blueprint that they have out there. So we'll talk more about that. The departments that will be put under the presidency, and how you're going to stop it with the Supreme Court giving them almost total immunity. So that's something that we're going to have to address. But yeah, we're going to talk about some of the other radical things that they have in this proposed program.
You mentioned privatization in that when it came to education, Jerry, and I want to point out that privatization is a reoccurring word in this plan, man. It is reoccurring. It's a lot of things that he wants to privatize. But I want to revert back to where Derek was when he was saying about how certain swing states, they already had people in position to contest as to overthrow the popular vote. Don't think it cannot happen. Anybody that has been paying any kind of attention, Erdogan over in Turkey just lost a democratic type of election by a landslide and is declared victor. So it can happen.
You're absolutely right. And Venezuela, same thing with Maduro.
Absolutely.
He said the other guy won about 70%.
Yeah,
he's still the president. So that lets you know that it can, but like Derek said, they got over 70 people already saying that they already in place in battleground states that saying they will not certify the election if it's not to their if it's not Trump that they want to certify it for. So that's the danger of it. That means that all of us, we talked about all hands on deck. All hands have to be on deck now. We're going to have to watch closely. Derek talked about things that are being moved out of the area, like drop boxes. Those are something that we used to go to and drop your ballot into, and you was good. vote by mail, all that is under attack. When you think about it, Florida is ground zero for the testing ground of Project 2025. It's one of the ground zeros here. And Derek, you might want to talk about that a little bit more too. I don't know, but we definitely know that the testing ground has already been put in place, and it's right here. Project 2025 is already taking place in many of the southern states.
Yeah, we just don't want everybody else, the other 49 states, to experience what we're already experiencing.
Suffering.
Yeah, it's tragic.
And,
hey, Christina, hey, we glad to have you on.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Congratulations with your son.
Oh, thank you. Yes, he he's in ROTC in college, and he was approved to go into the Air Force. He just graduated field training, so now his last 2 years will be on scholarship with ROTC for Air Force. So yeah, we're overjoyed, very proud. It took a lot of appeals. It took a lot of prayer. I have a lot of mixed emotions about it, but pride being the strongest. I'm so proud of all my kids. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm grateful to be here. I want to thank Jill and Derek for going over the information about early voting. That's actually what I'm doing right now. I'm going around and putting up signs at all the early voting locations for Santa Rosa County. I do want to point out that Stanley Campbell was endorsed by the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida. And so I have nothing negative to say about any of the other candidates. I think it was a very tough decision, but he was endorsed by the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida. And I wanted to bring that information for those who are going out and early voting. It was a decision made by leaders from across the state. And yeah, so I'm out, I'm putting up signs. And if you're in Santa Rosa County, I want to take off all of my political hats for a minute and talk about a nonpartisan race. Elizabeth Huey is up for re-election for school board. Again, it's a nonpartisan race. So what that means is for Elizabeth Huey, no matter what part of the county you live in, you can vote for her. No matter what your political affiliation is, you can vote for her in Santa Rosa County. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, doesn't matter if you're an NPA, doesn't matter if you are a Republican. Everyone, if you are registered to vote in Santa Rosa County, can vote for Elizabeth Huey. And again, I'm taking off every political hat. This is not an endorsement by any means of Elizabeth Huey, but I am sincerely asking for your vote. Elizabeth Huey is going up against Moms for Liberty candidates. In fact, the president of Moms for Liberty in our county is facing off with Elizabeth Huey. And we need her. We really, really, really need her. So please, to everybody who is in Santa Rosa County, if you've got your ballot at home, please mark that box for Elizabeth Huey. I cannot stress how important this is. And again, this is not an endorsement, a political endorsement. This is just a plea from somebody who knew her. Elizabeth Huey was endorsed by the teachers union now twice. She gives back her entire salary back to the school board. She doesn't take a salary. She's knocked on over 6,000 doors across our county by herself. And she has never missed a school board meeting, planning, or anything in all the years she has been elected. I don't know of a greater public servant that we have currently serving, and I don't know anybody who does that. So please, 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 I'm sincerely asking, not as a political anything, but just as somebody who knows her, please mark that ballot for Elizabeth Huey and for our kids, because we've got nobody else.
All right, then. Thanks.
Yeah.
Christina?
Oh, sorry. Christina, did you have something else?
what you were just talking about for Project 2025, I really believe this area is a living think tank for the Republicans.
Sure.
And like everybody was saying, it would be horrific to see that across our state and across the rest of the nation. I am so grateful for those deep blue areas that keep us functioning like a democracy.
Saw your live the other day for Gay and Gates. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the first time I believe that they were ever on stage together. Gabe Valamont did a great job. And I'm also glad to see on the Republican side that they're not just giving this to Gates, that they're actually trying to primary him with Aaron Dimerick, I believe is his name.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so, we have to get that clown out of office. I'm telling y'all.
Yeah. You're right about it.
So again, I'm still out putting up signs at early voting locations I can't stay on, but did anybody have anything for me?
No, we missed you at the forum yesterday, but we know that you're there in spirit, that we had that empty chair up there for you. So
I'm so sorry. I'm so
okay.
sorry.
We'll catch you next time. It was a wonderful event having everyone on the panel there. It really was.
Well, I'm so sorry I missed it. I've been really trying to do better at pacing myself, and I couldn't get it together yesterday, so I do apologize.
You're busy, nothing to apologize for. We know you're a foot soldier doing your thing. Thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know if y'all talked about it already, but Cindy Martin's event yesterday, I know Vernon Watson was there and Derek was there, but that was touching and powerful, and it's still with me today. With Sabrina Fulton, the mother of Trayvon Martin, speaking.
I just wanted to, while you were on, because you said something, I wanted to, for the viewing audience, and I won't speak for Jill, but I know that most of our folks who watch us regularly know that we're all a part in some form or fashion of the Democratic Black Caucus of Florida and the DBCF executive committee, and you mentioned that they endorsed Stanley Campbell. I want to take a step back and say, as chair, although I am part, I do not endorse one candidate over the other from that perspective. So I just wanted to, I didn't want anybody who heard that to say, "Oh, Derek, your part, you actually endorsed," because that's not the case. Now, if I am taking all of my hats off, and just being 100% candid, I actually dissented from that endorsement, just, from that perspective. So as we talk about the candidates, and I know we've heard people say, I've gotten a plethora of calls asking me about the Senate race. And so I didn't want anybody to think that I was saying one thing and telling people another thing publicly and whatnot. So I did not personally support that endorsement. So I just wanted to be abundantly clear from that for everybody else.
Hats off to Uncle Luke. Go ahead, Jill.
Bill, I just love you. You gotta love him, just love him.
Yeah.
So I too, of course, as a state committee woman, following side by side with the DEC, but also being an officer of the DBC. So Christina's right. The decision of the Democratic Black Caucus was to support and endorse Stanley Campbell. I also, taking all my hats off, did not make that decision. I did not vote that way. However, as a DBCF executive committee member, we, as Christina is doing, she has the sign, she's telling you where they are. What I would say is that everybody needs to make the decision that's best for them. Mm-hmm. We could give you some historical information, but at this point, everybody has your ballot, you have your information. We do know this quarter, the numbers just dropped, that Stanley Campbell raised $81,000 and his counterpart, Debbie Mucarsel Powell, raised $11.8 million. And then Rod Joseph, I don't think we have his out yet. So whoever wins, all we really want to do is make sure that they hold them, those that don't win get behind whoever that does win, and all of us too. So as you see, we're all on the same team, Christina, Derek, and I. And if Stanley wins, then we get behind him. If Debbie wins, then we get behind her. Whatever happens, that's got to be your 24 hours afterwards. Everybody's got to be all in. If we want to make sure that President, soon to be our nominee for president, Vice President Kamala Harris wins, it's going to take everybody getting on board in every single election. And so,
Absolutely. I didn't mean to cut.
So I would say, make the decision that's best for you. Many of us have to take off all our hats. And some of us, even when we take off our hats, we can only give you the facts. We can't say, hey, go vote unless you're our friend. So we can give you facts. We can't tell you what to do. Jerry, Mr. McIntosh, was awesome in that he gave all three, there's 4 candidates, but 3 of them were on this show. So although we all have our own personal opinions, we make sure that you get truth and that you get the candidates. And then that way you can go back. If you're not sure and you don't have any information on them, we had Dr. Rod Joseph. You can go back and watch that on our Voices on YouTube, on Facebook Live. You can go back and watch Stanley Campbell and get information on him. And you can also watch Representative Debbie Mucarsel Powell. So the good thing about our Voices is that we're sharing with you outside of our own realm, our ideas or beliefs. We're giving you everybody so that you have the opportunity to make the decision that's best for you, your family, then your community. And like I said, in the end, the answer is, I always say, give you 24 hours. 24 hours after August 20th, I need everybody to be on board. You get 24 hours to cry or
lament,
whatever you do. Yeah, whatever you gotta do. But 24 hours later, everybody has to be on board.
Fall in line. Hats off to Uncle Luke, Stanley's brother, for the endorsement of Kamala for president. Hats off to him. Thank you, Uncle Luke.
Yes. And to chime into what Jill said, the great thing about this election cycle is we have phenomenal candidates. So I am excited to stand behind whoever wins and move forward. And I will try and send also Derek some of the links for some of the Harris for President events coming up. If anybody wants to jump on some Zooms, I don't want to be out here when it's too dark, but I do have to head out and finish putting up signs. But I will send that to Derek right away. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. So I appreciate y'all. Make sure you go out and vote. And again, if you're in Santa Rosa County, again, I want to be very clear. It's a nonpartisan race, not a political endorsement, but as a friend, please, 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 I am begging you, vote for Elizabeth Huey. Please, I am sincerely begging you. Like I said, the person she's going up against is head of Moms for Liberty. She's been fighting books. She actually said in the forum yesterday, she was upset that her kids came home with and her kids when her kids were in public school. She doesn't even have kids in public school right now. She took them out and put them in private school. But when her kids were in public school, she was upset that they came home with a folder that had diversity and rainbows on it. Diversity is a bad word in her name, in her world. So that is not
that Moms for Liberty?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
what freedom is that?
Elizabeth Huey is not Moms for Liberty.
No.
Elizabeth Huey is not Moms for Liberty. I'm asking you to vote for Moms for Liberty. She's going up against Myra Calkins. Calkins, Myra Calkins is the Moms for Liberty president for Santa Rosa County. I don't even like saying her name because I don't want to give her any more credit. But she is not for our children. I promise you, she is not for our children. So Elizabeth Huey is. She's a moderate. She is incredible. And please vote Elizabeth Huey. I'm sorry, Jill. I didn't hear you.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I wanted you to go through your Elizabeth Huey, so everybody vote Elizabeth Huey. But on behalf of our voices and your friends and family, we just want to tell you that we hope and wish you the best in your surgery on Tuesday, and that we are here for you if you need any of us. We are a phone call, text away. And we just ask special prayers for our co-host and our friend Christina Forrest as she goes into surgery on Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Thank you all so much. I've got a couple big ones coming up, so if y'all don't see me next week, y'all know me. I'm a voting rights activist. Get out. Don't let others make choices for you. Get out and vote, vote, vote. You have some of the most knowledgeable people all right here. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. That's what we're all here for. If you can't reach me, I do apologize. After Tuesday, I'm going to be down and out for a couple weeks, but just know I'm with everybody in spirit, and much love to you all. And thank you, Jill. That's so sweet.
Good luck. We'll be praying for you, and stay safe putting up signs in Santa Rosa County.
And hopefully they'll still be up then. Oakland.
Yeah, I know, right?
We can't put them up at 4 o'clock in the morning the day before because they'll be gone.
Exactly. Well, y'all take care. I gotta go. I don't want to be out here at midnight. So appreciate y'all. Thanks for letting me interrupt your conversation. So sorry, but much love.
Bye.
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 Well, Jill, you want to go over all the things that's they are talking about privatizing under the Project 2025? You have your list with you. I can go over it.
I think oh wait, maybe I don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I have.
You got it. So,
Go ahead. If somebody has it.
Social Security.
Veterans.
That Social Security, infrastructure projects, the Federal Aviation Administration.
Yeah, they're gonna reduce federal disasters relief programs, reduce funding for public health programs, dismantle the Department of Education. All this is under Project 2025. Limit federal involvement in technological standards. Reduce regulation by the Environment Protection Agency. They've already done that through the Supreme Court. It's telling them it's only so far they can go with the environment and telling people how to use it. They want to promote energy production on federal land, restructure the Department of Homeland Security, abolish the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And that's what Elizabeth Warren and President Obama got in place so that we could be protected from people just taking our funds away from us. Limited federal involvement in local policing. Implement a flat tax system, meaning that we will be the one paying the taxes, which we already are doing now, and the rich won't have to pay anything. They want to privatize Social Security, privatize the Federal Aviation Administration, decrease regulation in healthcare, promote free market healthcare. In other words, they just want to make money off of your health, increase private sector roles in public education, cut federal support for renewable energy projects, reduce environmental regulation on businesses, decrease the size of the federal workforce, repeal Dodd-Frank financial regulation, eliminate the Department of Commerce, reduce federal oversight on labor standards, restrict the power of Federal Reserve, privatize infrastructure projects, reduce funding for federal research program, repeal the Affordable Care Act, reduce federal student aid, reduce federal government interventions in various sectors, withdraw from international climate agreement, limit the jurisdiction of federal courts, reform the Department of Justice, repeal net neutrality regulation, reduce business regulation, lower corporate tax rate, which is already too low in the first place. But when you talk about limiting federal involvement in technological standards, that means that the government would have nothing to do with it. That means and then that trickle over into net neutrality, where Bill, we was fighting that some time ago, and we was talking about it on this show. About 6-7 years ago?
Has it been that long?
It might not been that long. It might have been about 4 years ago.
About 4 years ago, huh?
And they were trying to eliminate net neutrality, and they were really trying to hurt the what you call broadband in the country. They didn't want to expand it into certain areas, especially in the Black community. We was already behind technological with broadband and internet and all of the computers that we would need. So we were already behind. So we was continuing to talk about it and fight this on a regular basis. And when you're talking about deregulations, when we are regulated because there were certain things that was taking place. I don't know, if you went around in the 60s or in the 70s, the early 70s, you would, and if you lived in the major cities like California, Chicago, and Detroit, you saw the smog. You could get up in the morning time and, if you had asthma or something like that, you were in trouble because of the smog. So they forced them to put scrubbers on to turn this smoke into steam, so it wouldn't be as toxic to the eyes and the breathing. People were having respiratory problems. Some people were dying from it when they went out. So that's why they regulated everything. Then our water, the Environmental Protection Agency, California had the highest, I would say, doctrine on making sure that our water was protected, the environment was protected, food was protected. So that standard spread it across the country. And, we began to have safe food and safe drinking water, water without lead in it, So all of these things, if they deregulate all of this, all this stuff won't take place anymore when you think about it. When you did, and then health regulation, that means there has to be a standard for testing these medications that come out. It was a standard, so it was regulated so that people wouldn't die from just taking some kind of medication because it wasn't regulated right, or the pharmaceuticals just decided, okay, we're gonna use this community as a guinea pig and see what happens. So those are the kinds of regulations that still need to be intact and in place. So, when you're talking about reducing the federal government, what are they gonna reduce it to? Then they're talking about purging 50 to 100,000 people from the federal civil service program. You talk where, when you start doing that, if you do it at the federal level, that means it's going to trickle down to the state level, city governments and all that, where most of us work. Big pharmaceuticals, big corporations don't hire as many Black people as the federal government, as state governments, city governments, and that's not all city governments, that's not all state government, but the majority of us are working in some kind of professional field in government, whether it's in teaching, the water system, or other things of that nature, where we are in there we are pretty heavy in there. Not the majority, but we are in there. But if they go to purging, that means that you know who they're gonna purge.
Yeah.
So Jill, what's your thoughts?
I think that we are sharing information so that people can see the depth of the destruction that will take place, that we are not trying to scare you. We are not, absolutely not making any of this up. We can share the I want to say we can give you where you can go look for it, but all you really have to do is Google Project 2025, and there's videos, there's information, everything you can think of. I think it's just critical that I know we've taken a lot of this portion of the show to go over it, but it's because we want people to wake up. We want you to hear it. We don't want you to believe what the other side is saying. This is not something that Trump is just going to receive and have to read over. This is something that he's already ready to execute and do more. And so I'm just thankful that we have this show and this opportunity to share with you the truth. And please, if you have questions, if there's something we can do to help you further understand, feel free to reach out. Back over to Derek.
Yeah, no, I think this was a great overview. And to Jill's point, if you need specific reference points, if you need to, because it is 925 pages, just reach out to one of us and we can point you into what page number to begin your reading if you are interested on a specific topic. As we move into things that have happened lately, I wanted to make sure that we left enough room to talk about a couple of things that have happened over the past week and get your take on them. But I don't know if you saw, we saw last week or the week prior, all the calls that happened for Vice President Harris and reaching her support and nomination for the presidency of the United States. Did you all see the white males? They did their call, right? And they've answered the call. So we are coalescing and those calls still continue. I encourage our audience, if you have not participated, go online. You can find there's Win with Black Women, there's Win with Black Men. There is the Florida Black Voters call that's coming up this week on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is it Tuesday? Or maybe it's I feel like it's the 6th, but it could be a different day. There are plenty of different opportunities for you all to reach out. But I say all that to say that the right is spiraling. They don't know what to do. They are kicking themselves and trying to figure out which way is up and which way is down. And so they are going every which way but up, and certainly all the way down. If I look at this most recent attack, did everybody see Donald Trump as he sat with the journalists at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention, or NABJ, as those of us who are familiar with the organization know it to be called? Did you all see that and his disdain towards Black women? What are your thoughts?
Oh my God, man. First of all, our sister did a fantastic job of handling a clown. I've never seen anyone handle a clown so good. Now, let's remember that got started about an hour behind schedule because they were going back and forth because he didn't want the fact checkers to be fact checked in real time. And the show, his people pulled him halfway through. It was just too much heat, man, in their room coming at him from the black journalist. But he put his foot in his mouth. Y'all might not give me any credit on this show, but I've always said, just give Donald Trump a microphone. He'll sink the ship himself, man. If we can just keep him talking, doesn't have to be black journalists, just anybody. This guy will do it. He's freestyling. The teleprompter. I don't know if they move it too fast and he can't read it and keep up with it, but he's going off script. and he's good at doubling down, and doubling down is going to be the detriment of him. He made a terrible decision with JD, and they all know it. The world knows it, but they are in a free fall, Derek. And man, this sure is refreshing. But like Jill said now, it ain't no time to stop and smell the roses. Yo, we've got work to do. I was speaking with my pastor today about the forum, this, that, and the other on yesterday, and he brought up the fact that our problem as Democrats has been that our attempt has been to play nice, play fair, but y'all, it's time to take the gloves off now. It's time for some low blow below the belt, man. Y'all, we're in the fight of our lives, and all this playing nice, man. The other side doesn't play nice, man, and it's time to get down to business and to extend an invitation to him from the Black Journal. To me, I'm glad they did it in hindsight, but I didn't see the purpose of it originally.
I didn't see I've still said they shouldn't have platformed him.
You should not have.
And what Kamala Harris wanted to do a Zoom video to the NABJ, the National Association of Black Journalists, so for those who don't know. And they said no. That's what burnt me. But they bring Trump on, and they knew that she was going to be at the funeral of our sister Sheila Jackson Lee. She was there with the family, but she was willing to do a Zoom to the National Association for Black Journalists. And the person that was doing whoever the president is, I think that I don't know if that was her or not doing the interview, but she said no. Yeah. And
the president is a guy, I forget his name, Burton or something.
Yeah, but anyway, they said no to her, but allowed Trump to be there and to insult them. They had to sit through the insult. I would have told him, if we can't fact check you, go home.
Right.
Go where you're from.
Oh, well, no, they didn't agree to no fact check.
Us and our people. That to me would have been more powerful than anything. Go on, get. Why are you still here?
Go on now, get.
This is our show. Yeah, this is our show. This is what we do every year. We invite people, but this is the way it's going to go, not the way he said it should go. And that in itself, to me, was kind of disappointing, I would say.
I've never had anyone open up so mean. You're so mean.
Yeah, nasty. You were nasty.
You didn't even say hello. How you doing? Whoa. He's hilarious, man.
The childless Chet ladies are having their call tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're having theirs tonight too. So
that's interesting.
They are organizing. A co-creator has put it together, and they doing it tonight, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah. When he talk about any Black woman, he's talking about all Black women, because he hate Black women. He's not just he haven't just did it to her. He's done it to other Black women. And so when people see that as that's just that person, no, it's not just that person. It's every Black woman that's out there. That's my sisters, my daughters, my cousins and friends, that you are talking about. So we have to be the one to come out and say what this racist, bigot, rapist, 2-time impeached, fraud, 34 count felony is saying. And we can't leave nothing on the table for him. When we got to protect, we have to protect our women who will be our wives or our daughters and sisters. We have to be the one to protect them. We have to say to some bigot, you don't have the right to tell us that Kamala Harris is not qualified. that she's not black or she's not Indian. She has never denied her blackness, but she always said her mom was Indian and her dad was from Jamaica. That she was black. Both her parents would be considered black in America. They would not. The dark-skinned Indian woman would not. A black woman would not be considered anything but another black person, because there are there are people who are lighter than her parents. You know, so who could be considered as white but say I'm black. You know, so we have to say to them, no, you're not going to talk about our women. You're not going to talk about our sisters. You're not going to talk about our mothers, you know, our daughters. No, you know. Go ahead, Jill.
So for me, I think the last part that you said, absolutely. But Bill, don't yell at me. Last time I said something about we didn't need to talk about, Bill was like, yes, we do. I don't think you should even bring that mess up. The fact that he's questioning whether she was black yesterday before she even thought about running. As the vice president, he always said she was black. She became not black when she had to go up against him. So we don't need to discuss that, but absolutely stand up for our women, our children, our VP, our soon to be president. But bring up his nonsense, his weirdness, as we're now going with. Why give reverence to it at all? Just okay, that's nice. She knows she's been black all her life. We don't need to confirm it.
I didn't yell at you.
You did.
I just disagree.
Because our viewing audience needs to know. So
that's what we do, inform and check. But I wasn't. I'm just loud. I would never yell.
Okay. It was friendly yelling, like friendly battering.
Okay. All right.
I mean, like, he's going to say so much. So I think that we can just take off the table. Us discussing it means that it's relevant. And that definitely, I mean, there's a whole lot that he'll say that's absolutely not relevant, but that's going to be the number one thing. Because like I said, VP Kamala Harris knows all her life that she's been black.
So weird. The hot sauce.
Yeah, it didn't just happen. She knew all her life.
Yeah, he called her a left-wing lunatic, that she was unqualified, that she, you know.
Worst vice president in history.
We can talk about all that if you want to. I mean, he's going to do what he does. He's got to say something. So here's what I think. How much time do we have? I want to take it over. Okay. Here's what I think. I think that when he was up against Biden, he thought they already had their playbook written. Mm-hmm. They knew exactly how they were going to hit him. They knew exactly what they were going to say. And they never, for whatever reason, just like most of us, never thought that Biden would ever say, hey, I'm going to put this country and democracy over even my own personal desires, that I'm going to choose the United States of America and the people of the United States of America. And so now he is up against someone who's not going to back down, and that you can't just throw these little things out, and that he absolutely knows he's coming for you. So he's going to be, and they're not going to, so to Bill's point, they will never, ever, going forward until November, I don't know when, be able to keep Donald Trump on track, because he is going to go off script for the rest of the time, because that's how he deals with anger. That's how he deals with his defense mechanism. I don't even know how they could put him on a stage anywhere and expect them to know what he's going to say. But what I don't understand is when he says it, they freaking fall in line no matter what. Do you know those Republicans are like, yeah, you worked with her. We don't know. Maybe she's not black. What? Black when you talked to her the other day, but now Trump said she's not black. You're like, well, maybe she's not. I mean, they are like, I don't know what water they drink. I don't know, but I'm just saying to everybody else, if that's what makes you go vote on our side so we can get her in office.
He's such an idiot. He might be helping her cause by calling her not black. He's such an idiot, man. But that's his way to keep them little old Uncle Bens that black folk that are posing behind him at his speeches to think that, hey, I'm your guy.
I tend to think, I take an approach of like, what I'm about to say, hear me when I say this. I appreciate when he does what he does and when JD Vance does what he does, because it makes my job, our job, everybody else's job a lot easier. I don't have to convince you that he's a racist or a bigot. All you have to do is listen. I don't have to give you an example. All I have to do is say, turn on your television when he comes on at X time or Y time, and you judge for yourself. I don't have to give you the example that he lies every time he opens his mouth, because we see it every time he opens his mouth, right? So for them, and for us, although we can't rest on what we've got, the accomplishments, and look at all the money, we still got to do what we got to do. I hope that they keep JD Vance. I hope.
Oh, they're keeping him.
That they do that they continue on this train of a downward spiral, because all it's doing is pushing the cat ladies or whatever, the dog men, whatever, whoever, whatever the antithesis of the people without children. It's just helping us so they can experience it for themselves. I kind of liken it, and no, I won't say that. Never mind. It's just, if they continue to do what they're doing, we continue what we're doing, we'll have a successful album.
Right. They're giving us the sound bites, but to get rid of dropping right now would be to be admitting that he was wrong. He doesn't do that. So, but he's fired over 200 people during his administration. So, yeah, man, just keep on. He's saving us money. All we have to really do is run his sound bites, man, and we can win this thing.
Right. And now that Florida is back in play,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I wanted to see what Joe was gonna say. I love that pause in the middle of the hair.
I think we said in our voices, we're always going to tell you the truth. So we'll just stop that with that. But what I would say is, Bill, what you just said, I don't think that's all we have to do. That's all maybe Democrats have to do, but we still, to Derek's point, yeah, we can tell them to go watch it, but there's still people out there that will watch what he says and say, oh, he's not a racist, or that doesn't bother me, or that's not the point I'm worried about. It doesn't matter how he feels. So we still have a lot of work to do. We have to galvanize all Democrats, but after we get them, I mean, everybody's excited. That's great. We need to make sure those that are still sitting on the sidelines, thinking, I don't know what, that might be have a slight little racism card in their own deck, that are Democrats. Y'all need to play that card somewhere else, because we don't have time for that. And then we have to work on MPAs, and then we have to work on Republicans, and we have to make sure that they see that there's a clear path where they will be represented by VP Kamala Harris.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
That she takes care of everybody. This is going to be an administration so different than what they have in Donald Trump.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And he helped us with his choice with Vance. He helped us.
We got 1 minute, and we're going to go to the book, my recommendations for the month, for the week, The Philosophy and Opinion of Marcus Garvey. It's his biography. Also, Adam by Adam, Adam Clayton Powell. People need to read. Adam Clayton Powell was significant in making sure money got to the South that people don't know about. And then I'm Not Your Negro by James Baldwin. James Baldwin was an awesome writer when he was alive. So
had his 100th birthday, would have been 100 years old if he'd lived this past week at our birthday.
And you got it back in your hand. Our time at 9 o'clock.
Okay, well, certainly we thank you for tuning in this week. I just want to put in a shameful plug that I will be going up against the chair of the Republican Party for Escambia County here on Wednesday morning. So if you can't, check it out on Blab on Sunshine's Corner at 9 a.m. And everybody have a great week. We will see you next week. Same time, same place. Take care and be safe, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.